Okay, let's do this again. I tried this one time, it didn't quite work properly, so let's do this again. Let's do our analysis again and talk over what happened in the past week and what we are looking forward to in the next week. So, this week was, on the longer time frames, positive, still looking positive. On the lower time frames, frustrating. We'll get into that into a minute. Here's the monthly of silver. It's still looking good. You can see very clearly this pivot low here. That's also the 50%, big 50% fib. Probably taken from a quarterly or another monthly chart. Yeah, taken from a quarterly chart. We've seen the sell-off, a wedging, really nasty spike down into these lows here. From 2009, we get silver for $11. You can get it again in March of last year for a similar price. Big move up, and then consolidation underneath resistance. Consolidation underneath resistance. Bullish, in theory. But you can see we've closed the month again above this big weekly 50% fib. Monthly rather. We go down to the weekly. You can see we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weekly closes now above the 50% fib, and if we zoom in a bit more, we've just had our second close consecutively above this very important red level. We managed one here, none here, none here, doji just on or underneath, and then 1, 2. 2 consecutive closes in a row above this red level. You can see we spiked down below it, right back up again. We've already tested the weekly breakout and the 50% fib. We didn't retest it exactly, but we got close. What we closed back above the key horizontal red pivot line here on the weekly. We are potentially, if the market's going to go to turn, in a RSI sell zone. However, as we've been pointing out on high time frames, we're getting these positive reversals, yeah, where price is higher but the indicators are lower. And this has been going on, to reiterate the case for silver, since August of last year. This was the big silver squeeze hype, and then everyone got wrecked and disappointed. Here we get people's hopes up again, and we wrecked them again. And then I started trying to guess in somewhere, where was it, around here? I definitely got stopped out somewhere around here ages ago. Build up hopes, we took out this high, vroomf, right back down again. But now we're seeing consecutive closes above resistance, so they're doing everything they can to frustrate people, and it certainly frustrated me, but maintaining a positive longer term outlook. Let's get rid of this big box. So there's the red weekly line here. Here's the daily fib. There's the weekly green trend line and the big monthly, weekly, quarterly 50% fib here. So we tested there. This time we plunged underneath, and I've replaced the daily yellow channel lines. I've taken out the channel lines. This has been on my charts previously, replaced it with fib channel, and just playing around, it was a negative 50% of the fib channel on the way up that we hit on the way down. Maybe that means something, maybe it doesn't. I'm just interested to see that. Maybe this is something I can utilise in the future. But the all-important close, but as you can see, we're coming right into this resistance here in the $27, $28 area, which is still the area that must be overcome before we can talk about getting to 30, 40, 50, 60 in the long term, if that's going to happen. My sort of fear nightmare scenario is this was the area where the banks were getting in, or smart money, mark up, and then this is the sell to the suckers, and that somebody will be pushing threads on 4chan, on the Wall Street Silver subreddit, places like that. Get people hyped up, offload your bags onto the normies who think they're getting one over on the Fed, who think they're high information. They've got more information than the average normie on the street because they read about silver on 4chan, and we're just going to you know, we're going to dump out again. We're going to go back down to $15 an ounce, something like that, and it's all just a big game, you know. Because when you see things on 4chan, I mean, apparently this recent Bitcoin dump was on 4chan, and that did play out. But then you get things like, obviously, the silver squeeze last year. Nothing came of it, other than a year of consolidation. When the virus started, and there was all that footage coming out of China, looking like it was genuine, mobile phone footage from individuals, it looked like the zombie apocalypse, people collapsing in the streets, people collapsing and dying in hospitals, it's the end of the world. And then that turned out to be information warfare, that turned out to be a psyop of some kind, and they were getting one over first on the person who does actually try to stay smart and stay informed. They were the ones who they fooled most with that, and they got them first precisely by putting it on somewhere like 4chan. So hopefully we're not going to roll over and crush my dreams. Because I did get stopped out again. I literally can't remember where I got long. Yeah, it was round here last time, because there was this plunge under the double wicks, and then it was about the red. Yeah, it was the red weekly support. So this is the area where I got long last time. Move up, hip hip hooray, time for $30. No, yes, a big no. Got to stop the fuck out. And I was buying immediately under this support here rather, and then by the time it got back down here, I got stopped out again. Because that's a hell of a drop. But then I immediately got back in again because I could see we'd come into this area here. So I am in again. Just the lower end of this triangle formation, sort of between like 27 and 27.40. Probably not the absolute lows. Probably in the triangle between 27.30 to 27.40. I would need to check, but I'm not going to. So I've got in. Somewhere in here. Pretty good, assuming we keep going up, which the long-term charts still look good for, but you can see we've come up into potential bearish backtest of this diagonal resistance here, which comes from the 6 hour. I've replaced my yellow daily channels with the purple fib channels, and also at a slightly less steep angle I've put on these white channel lines. This captures the top end of the channel. This is a deviation. This captures the low end of the channel. This captures the midpoint of this action, the upthrust, the bounce, extended out here. This captures this low, this high, this deviation, this high, this deviation, and catching a low. It's sort of forming this midpoint. This is a definite midpoint of the channel, and I've got a single solitary higher rail here that's sort of capturing all this. It neatly channels the price action. So you can see the issue is that we're retesting from the underside this low here, and also the diagonal resistance here. If we can overcome this, and if we can stay above, especially 27.50, that's the big level for me. 27.50 is just about everything. Over that, I think is good. Under that, I think is bad. It really is that simple for me at this point. And I think this line is tried and true. It's proved itself over and over and over. You might say, well, what's about here? Yeah, but this looked pretty good. And it's about sustaining. It's about sustaining over. Or sustaining under. Again, it's possible we get one more test down into this weekly live levels. The mint shock chip line or the 50% fib, maybe a little bit lower, but decent day on Friday considering the scale of the plunge, and then very strong comeback. But we're hoping. I'm wanting to see this continue. I want to see this continue more or less straight away, and I think we need a big week. We need a week up that blasts through this high and shows that, that means business. That means business. In a month's time, we need to be between 32 and 34 to show that this is for real. We could spend until the end of July. We could spend into August retesting this line, this support. Hopefully not. That really would be a pain, and I'd probably get stopped out some more. And I'm getting good entries, but then I'm getting stopped out. a little bit of movement on the weekly time frame. There's a lot of movement on the time frames you're actually trying to get in. It's starting to hurt a little bit. I'm losing out on these entries, but I remain optimistic. Speaking of losing out, here's a chart for Bitcoin. You'll remember last time I said anything under these long-term trend lines, this trend line confluence, was sell. And it continues to be the case. We finished near the top of that area, sold off. We came up into that area again, sold off. And it's not looking good for Bitcoin. It's not looking good. 23,000 or something would be a level. And then anywhere between 16,000 and 12,000. If we come down into the 12,000s, that would be an enormous buy. But you can see we're kind of setting up left shoulder, head, right shoulder potentially. So it could be much larger distribution that could very easily take us down to 12,000, I think. But again, this is the key. Red for stop, green for go levels. This zone, and especially this top yellow line here. So the fact that I'm vaguely right in silver is not playing out, is not helping. They're wicking me brutally. Maybe they're wicking you brutally. So it's not paying off. Being right about Bitcoin is not paying off either, because I'm all in on silver. The idea being that I'm concentrating my limited firepower on a single asset that I think I've got a good read on. Turns out I've actually got a better read on, or I'm having better luck with the assets I'm not trading. Not just Bitcoin. What else hurts? The Nikkei. Again, this was the level I identified. If we get above here, it's green for go time. We moved up, we moved down, we had a pullback, and we've moved strongly back up again. Looks like more upside on the way. So I had a good read on that chart. I passed the eye test, as I was calling it, and it's benefited me not even slightly. But it's good to confirm that I can read a chart. What else? Again, in the nicest possible way, sand being kicked in the face here. Silver's not playing out for me, but bonds, very strong close. And I was pointing out the positive divergences. I was pointing out that the easy movement staying green, positive divergences, and I was expecting upside in bonds, potentially from the channel bottom to channel top. And that's exactly what's happened. So another good read on the chart, another pass on the eye test, but it's not making me money because I'm not in it. I'm losing money in getting stopped out in silver. Only a little. Silver moves up from here on, I'll make it all back and then some, but it's like, ooh, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. The FTSE, this was my 4-hour chart, so I've been keeping marked up on the FTSE. Well, by golly gosh, look where we came into. I think if I'd been trading the FTSE, I would have done the right thing and bought in this area. But I can't give this one to myself. It's not something I brought up previously, I don't think, these levels, but you can see pretty clearly what the setup was again. In terms of the longer-term view of the FTSE, we're still in the box. We're towards the top of the box. I suppose if we had to pick out where the midpoint of the box is, where is the pivot in the box? Yeah, it's there. Good week for stocks though. One thing that was interesting about the move in silver, this horrifying down move, was that it corresponded very precisely with this horrifying up move in the dollar. And the correlation between silver and the dollar has been a bit not there for a lot of time because, again, look, the dollar has fallen like a rock since March of 2020. Has silver spent the past year going up like a rocket in the opposite direction? No, it hasn't. There's been very little correlation, but all of a sudden, on that day, at that hour, dollar rockets up, silver rockets down. So that was something that was impossible to not notice. So if there is going to be a correlation that's going to be stronger now, then obviously I want the dollar to go down. I want this to be a bear flag. This was the top of the bear flag, and then we're going to break it and make new lows under 89, going down to 85, and then 88 rather, then 85, and then 83. That's what I want to see, and that would support an enormous move in silver. So we've got through that a lot quicker than last time. Euro, you can see that wedge we had on. That was the false breakdown, but then the back test turned out to be a real bearish back test. And there's this buying couldn't support, and they deviated below the low. Come back up, and again, it's like the worrying thing is, you know, we're back testing this whole area here, this whole gimmick, and maybe we're going to have more downside, and maybe that means the same for silver, which is not something I want to see. On the positive, we've put in lows which are lower on our indicators, yeah, well, price is higher, so that technically is a positive reversal, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm going to spend my time in the coming week, I think, holding my silver longs. If they stop me out again, if they come and take out, you know, that 27, 30, 40 level, who knows? Endless fuckery. Endless fuckery. It would make sense to come and test the $27 level again, the high 26s, 80s, 90s. Absolute worst case scenario. We'll be coming back down into 26, or even take out all these lows here. Let's go back into this basing area here at 25, the high 25s, the mid 25s. Yeah. Hopefully this is a sign of good things to come. Alright, we'll end it there.